Oh, wait,
Oh,
do we want to? Okay. You guys will
the oldest
record it.
male, the oldest male alive, I think, is a better way of putting it. So
Stop. Ah,
I'm gonna go with one in here. How are you?
welcome.
Good.
You
You know,
look you look
my
great.
granddad is almost 100, so I think there are still older
Whoa.
people out there. He's still hanging on.
That's what I'm going for. Believe me.
Good for
I'm
you.
I'm I'm in no rush.
Good.
I stay ultra busy. So
Well, we were just talking about
well,
the fact that you guys are close enough that you could even physically get together and talk,
oh yeah,
as we carry on. So how far
Yep.
apart are you guys?
20
Half an
minutes,
hour?
15 minutes.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
Depending.
half
We
an
could
hour at the most.
meet halfway.
Yeah.
It's like 10, 15-minute drive. Yeah.
You guys
Yeah.
could meet at Captain Kurt's.
Yeah, you know the neighborhood. Look at this guy. Yes. Yes, we can, as a matter of fact. I love the place.
Last
So,
time we went to Captain Kurt's, I was disappointed that it's become very commercialized. So when I used to go there when I was younger in the early 80s, they'd give you like a mountain of shrimp and big platters of oysters, and it was all very cheap.
yep.
And now when we went there, it was a basket, same basket, but now it was like counted out that there were 12 shrimp. It was all very carefully,
Right.
rationed, and I sort of felt like the good days of Captain Kurtz were over, and it had become very corporatized.
Well, most of the, it's unknown to most people, but most of the seafood caught in the Gulf of Mexico, which of course now is all poisonous because of BP, is shipped out. So
Oh, is that right?
yeah, and the the stuff normally goes to New York. As far as California, all of our oranges here are all shipped out, and we get
Hmm.
California oranges.
Is that right?
Yep,
Wow.
our tomatoes come from Mexico. So go think about that for a while. How they
Wow.
what the sanitary conditions are. So
Hmm.
Department of Agriculture here has really done a poor job. And the prices. I rarely get to eat seafood anymore.
Hmm.
Grouper's, $16 a pound. So
It's true.
it's the best way to eat fresh seafood down here is go catch it.
Hmm.
Go out in the bay and uh, hook some up.
There's a spot that I really like. What the hell's it called? It's a smoked fish spot in St. Petersburg. Um, Shit. Every time I go down to visit my parents, I make sure that we go there. But you
Down
can
by the
smell
bridge.
it a mile away. Yeah, it's I'm just trying. You know what? Hang on a sec. Let me just find this. This is gonna drive me
Yeah.
nuts.
I lived in St. Pete for
Hmm.
about 2 years, right down at Maximo Marina at the bridge, and we had a
Yeah,
little boat, and we had it hanging there on the water. And
Ted Peters. That's what it is. Ted Peters fish.
Ted Peters fish. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, yeah, and
I've heard of it.
it's in South Pasadena.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, heard of it. Never actually eaten there. So
Oh, it's good.
there's
You should take an opportunity. You guys should meet there.
we're actually on this
Okay.
side of the bridge. We're on the south side of the bridge. So
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's farther for both of us. Yeah, I can
Oh,
there's
I
so
imagine.
many
see. Okay.
Yeah.
so many good places down here. So but
Yeah, it's true.
we're glad to have her here. I can tell you, it's been
Mm,
we always had so much fun together and worked together, and we actually
yeah.
accomplished a lot. So
Okay, well let's talk about what we can accomplish going forward.
good.
So today I wanted to go over a few things, um, just to catch you up, Michael, sort of on what we've done, and sort of where we're going.
Mhm.
What I'd like to talk about is the overall. Like I'll just kind of like give you guys. Cara has heard this stuff a million times, but this will be a useful review. I'll provide an overall corp strategy.
Good.
As to what we've got in terms of saleable product
Mhm.
and what we've won lately and what seem to be appealing near-term ops. And then I think we should have a discussion about low-hanging fruit. So you'd mentioned, Michael, that there was some low-hanging fruit that you were aware of that we could probably, get in short order.
Right.
And then I'd like to talk about the two big types of aspirational sales that we do here. One is enterprise sales. So, finding a company that needs, conferencing or a UC solution, and how do we make that proposition to them. And then the second thing is the even bigger kahuna, which is the reseller opportunities, which we see as being where the real money's at.
Right.
So I'll just start off with an overall corp strategy thing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up something to view. Let me just share my screen here. So I'm just going to pull this up so you guys can see that.
Yep.
So this is a proposition we made to Singtel, and we continue to push this. And we just came back from we just came back from Atlanta, where we met. Noam and I met with some some Singtel guys, and talked a little bit more about the strategy for this. But I think this encapsulates really nicely the company as a whole, both from the direct enterprise sales, as well as a resale channel sale, and other stuff too. And I'll explain it as we go. So to the far right of this diagram, where it says end user experience, there's a little clip there, a little picture of our user portal, which we're using right now, which is the Callbridge user experience. And there's three endpoints. There's the web meeting, the teleconference, and the SIP gateway. And there's a few other little icons there: WebRTC, the Android icon, iOS, Windows, and Slack as well. And this is really what it is that we focus on, is creating a positive, good experience with a turnkey solution for customers who need conferencing or online collaboration. And it's available in the format we're using it right now, which is as a web meeting. It's available in teleconference, so you can just use it as an audio-only experience, and that can be dial-in as well as a mobile app. Or it can be used via the SIP gateway for room integration. So that's a very popular way of saying that older infrastructure can be reused and reapplied with this tool. So if a customer's got an older Logitech, or sorry, not Logitech, but like Polycom equipment, they can reuse it via this SIP gateway to upgrade the software and upgrade the experience without throwing out all the old hardware.
Right.
So that's the end user experience, and that's what an enterprise would want. And for a reseller, this is the sort of thing they want to push to their customers. But also, any piece of this is available to be kind of broken up and sold individually. And that comes into play for the second piece, which is in the middle, where I've labeled it Singtel. And there's two things here. One is that it can be fully branded as, we called it SingMeet here. So it can be fully branded through an admin portal. All the graphics can be changed, all of the user, the audio prompts, the language, everything can be changed, including the domain, so that it's very difficult to pierce the veil to find out that it's been white labeled for Singtel by some other company. So it very much looks like a Singtel experience, and they can match that with, say, an MPLS network, which is a telecom equivalent to a VPN, to provide an incredibly robust experience. so that like a Singtel client would get all of the value of a Singtel MPLS network and the reliability of that. Hopefully with a really powerful front end that matches their experience of Singtel. But it's really those two things. It's matching a customized or bespoke or personalized front end to the reseller and matching it to their network value proposition. So now we've got a couple of things that we're looking at here. We've got a really positive end user experience that can be experienced in at least 3 ways and possibly more. And then married with a reseller, there's a customized version of that user experience, plus there's a value add through like an MPLS network or other network infrastructure.
Right.
Now, finally, on the back end is what IOTM has created and manages. And this is a multi-tenant core application that's hosted in AWS, and we have an extensive network, a mesh network of points of presence around the globe, which can be replaced by like a Singtel, for example. So a Singtel could use entirely their own network or part of their network, and then we can fill the gaps. And what we give our customers is not intimate proctological management of this multi-tenant core application. We have a service offering where we look after it and we give them tools to interact with it. So we've got this admin portal, which allows them to provision legs of the network, termination, all kinds of other stuff. But then we also provide a series of API integrated bits. So Acton for marketing, BroadSoft for provisioning and other product integration, Clipfolio for metrics, Stripe for billing. And what this does is it gives them a lot of additional offerings, a lot of additional services and tools for them to understand and to market their platform. So it really becomes quite turnkey at that point. They can do billing either through their own system or through Stripe. They can take the API and feed it into their own analytics engine, or they could use Clipfolio, which is ours. They can provision directly, or they can provision via BroadSoft, and they can run, marketing campaigns, drip campaigns, user campaigns, reminder campaigns via Acton, and get, in-depth information from the customer host. So this is the whole kit and caboodle here. And the one thing that I would say with you as an advanced agent and biz dev guy, I would say is that, there's something else that's applicable here, which is any piece of this can really be kind of broken off and sold independently, but of course it takes some custom dev work, right? So for example, on the end user experience for WebRTC and the SIP gateway, we're currently carving off just those two pieces right there for pragmatic conferencing up here. So pragmatic is right now, we've just completed the first phase of a lot of work, and it's now in QA for us to use their SIP gateway instead of our own, and use our WebRTC tool instead of the one that they built and is crappy. So there's some really interesting opportunities to add, like in a very simple way, add video to something, or add audio to something, or add scheduling to something, or add transcription to something. All of these things are available to be broken apart and sold. It's just not as turnkey. Does that make sense?
Yep. And the fact that we have the API, is the API pretty ripe? Are we pretty much done that we can hand to them? Or
no, it's a. I'll show you a little bit about the API in a sec, but the API is I mean, to be honest, you know, in my career, and you've maybe been around a little bit longer, even Microsoft's quote unquote APIs were always rough around the edges, and so's ours.
Right.
You know, like there's just I mean, the API is essentially some raw data connects, you know, and there's some classes that can be pulled, but it's about midline in terms of of robustness of APIs. So it's not the end of, it's not horrible, but it's not great either.
Right. Gotcha.
Okay, so I'm just going to show you some other stuff here. This is, can you see this okay, or is this?
Yeah, it's
Oops,
a little small, but if you could make
it's
it
a little
larger,
small.
yeah.
Let me just see if I can. Is that better?
It hasn't changed.
Hasn't changed. Okay.
Michael, you're not. It's in your middle of the screen, right? It's not.
Yeah. No, it's in the middle.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
it's been. Okay.
Yeah, you can
can
enlarge it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can pin it,
Command
and
plus.
enlarge it. Yeah.
Yeah. Or Control
So,
plus or whatever.
Okay.
so I've
Well,
got
let me.
icons on the right here. Okay, there it is. I got it.
Okay.
It became
So
bigger anyway.
that's good. So what I'm just showing here is you know, it's how we presented the SingMeet value proposition to the reseller, but it's also a very good way to just overview how CallBridge stacks up and how our technology stacks up against the new WebEx meetings and against the current version of Zoom.
Okay.
So you know, you can see here the typical sort of checklist and red X's, and basically what we say to customers is everything you would expect is there. So, you know, functions that allow you to screen share, whiteboard, you know, a mobile app, you know, billing, all of that stuff. Basically, any kind of user experience Zoom provides, we provide as well. And there's some additional stuff that we provide that they don't provide. So here's what it is. So at the bottom, towards the bottom, you can see that there's some red X's. So so we provide reseller termination and network. Zoom doesn't really provide this, and WebEx provides this to some extent, but we can actually allow say a Singtel to use their entire network. Zoom actually doesn't allow you to do that. They control some piece of it.
Okay.
The cloud instance is something that Zoom and WebEx, you know, don't really allow. They have their own hosting. They provide it as a SaaS, but not as a proper cloud offering that that somebody else could make use of. The full private label is it's a tough one. WebEx has actually stopped doing this, so they don't. They used to allow it through BroadSoft MyRoom, but now they keep everything labeled WebEx, so they're really off the grid on this one. Zoom does allow you to private label it, but you can still tell it's Zoom because it still says Zoom on it. But you can now like have a, you know, Zoom powered by Singtel kind of thing.
Right.
But we provide a much more in-depth private label. They don't provide downloadable mobile apps. We do. And then this is the part where we get really unique. So if I'm Singtel and I have a reseller partner, they can't resell my version of Zoom. So they can resell their own version of Zoom, but they would have their own relationship with Zoom. We don't, we actually encourage people to have their own reseller relationships. So if I'm Singtel and I'm talking with, I don't know, Malaysia Telecom, if I'm reselling CallBridge, Malaysia Telecom can resell SingMeet, which is the private label of CallBridge. If Singtel is reselling Zoom, Malaysia Telecom has to deal with Zoom directly. They can't talk directly to Singtel about reselling Zoom. And that's significantly different.
That
So
is.
we allow, yeah, so we allow our resellers to have their own resellers. So we encourage them to develop a network.
So we encourage them to share label, white label.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it co-brand? Does it have to be co-branding, or can they just white label it powered by?
They can white label it, so so they don't even have to power it. They don't have to say powered by. They can do whatever they want with it, as long as we get the money.
Right.
Which brings to the next point, which is the revenue share. So we operate on a revenue share basis, not a baseline basis. So, for example, Zoom would say you buy licenses of Zoom for $9.99, and you can sell them at $14.99, which is the same MSRP that they're selling their product at. Right. So, in essence, they just allow you to get access to their profit line. Right. What we do instead is say you need to compete against Zoom. So you sell Callbridge however you want, and we're going to take half.
Okay.
So now there's obviously some complexity there, and here's what it is.
How do we know?
Well, because we're going to see all the billing through our own portal.
Okay, that was my question. So our billing is going to tie to their billing, and we're going to be able to see the activity.
Yep, okay. We're going to see the activity, so we'll be able to tell exactly how much we're owed. Now, we do have monthly minimums. So if you're going to be reselling this product, we have costs to keep it active and alive, and our costs for this, we start at $10,000 a month, and that's deducted from whatever your sales are. So the monthly minimum is $10,000, but that doesn't mean it's $10,000 and then whatever you sell is on top of that. It's just a minimum it's a minimum threshold you have to make. Okay. So if you sell $20,000 worth of product, we're going to take half. So that's $10,000, and that you've met your monthly minimum. If you sell $2,000, you still owe us $10,000.
Now, is that across the board on the products, or is that specific to WebRTC or to just a few different segments of the product capability?
So when we start breaking Callbridge apart, then we start negotiating. So if they just want the WebRTC, then we do some, detail, like with Pragmatic, for example, we're selling it by channel. So there, it's like $500 by channel or something like that. Like there's different metrics we're using to get paid, and it's a negotiation, right? Well, everything's a negotiation. So I mean, like with Singtel, we start off with 10,000, we'll probably wind up at 5,000. Okay. But some of our clients, like PCCW, they pay us $10,000 a month, and that's consumable for them. Some of our smaller customers, like we've got this Nigerian customer. How much did we wind up, Cara, selling that for?
2,000 a month.
2,000 a month, but that's Nigeria, and it's a deeply impoverished area where the cost of things is
so that's big money
reduced. Yeah, for them it's huge.
Yeah. Okay.
So does that make sense?
Yeah. No, it does. It's the economic condition of the region is certainly going to impact how we're going to have to negotiate.
Right.
And the guys who have a tremendous amount of business are going to come at us and say, no, we don't want 50-50. We'll give you 20.
That's right.
We want 80. And
right. And then we negotiate.
Yeah. Step number one is to get them to the table and start the negotiation, right? And then internally wrestle and figure out what we can do and what we can't do. So it's
now we have run into some situations where there's a company that is called Univoip, and we're just starting the process with them. They're quite hot to trot, and they want to get this in market right away. Noam and I met with their CEO last week in Atlanta. They originally approached us because they wanted to use our transcription engine for their call center, and they wanted to extend it to their call center product, which is not what our tool was designed for. And I'll tell you some of the problems with that. So the transcription engine runs on a 30-minute to 2-hour kind of processing lag time. And they wanted real-time transcriptions. They were asking us to sort of bend backwards and do something that the system was really not designed to do. So they were like, well, what would it take to get it, doing the transcription real time as it was coming in? And it's just not designed that way. So there's some things that we can't do. So when we had the in-depth conversation of what kind of value they could get out of the product set if they actually took it as it was designed, they got quite excited. So, they have difficulty hooking and luring in customers and showing the value of something that's so commoditized as a network. And, they feel quite demoralized about Zoom in the market. They just feel their Zoom is going out there and gobbling up UC accounts, and there's not much they can do. So what we said is, with our product, you can demonstrate the value of your network. So you can say, look how robust our network is. And you can show that you guys are in the game with a high-end, branded product that competes against Zoom and is competitive to what they're offering. And that's what it's designed to do. So now they're all excited to get this put into the market exactly as is. And I tell you that story because sometimes we encounter situations like with Pragmatic where, taking the WebRTC piece and, making it work in lieu of somebody else's WebRTC piece, and then making our system work with their SIP account or their SIP tool. That's doable because it's still sort of in the same arena. But as soon as we start doing stuff like, well, we want, the transcription to operate in real time, and we don't want to use it for conferencing, we want to use it for something else, that's when we start getting outside of our expertise in bailiwick and problems arise.
Who are you using for the transcription engine?
So we have our own AI engine.
Really?
But the speech to text is using the Google speech to text.
Okay.
So the AI engine over time gets better at isolating meeting topics. So the transcription will give you like a script of what was discussed, but what the AI engine Q does is it pulls out dates and times, who said more during the meeting, what was the topic that was discussed, what are some of the keywords that were discussed, and the next version of it is going to be moving more towards sentiment analysis. Was Michael excited?
Right.
Was Jason angry? Like those are the sorts of things that it's going to.
Now, is that predicated upon voice, or is that predicated upon facial recognition and emotion?
No, it's not. It's not facial recognition. It's it's more about tone and verbs.
Okay. All right. So
adjectives.
It's really the
adjectives
voice.
and verbs.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay,
So it's
good.
like tone of voice and what they say. So if they
Much
say,
easier way to do it. Okay.
yeah.
Good.
Okay. So that's so that's that. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about the API, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit about what sorts of opportunities we've been able to get lately. So, so this is from. I'll send you all this, by the way, so you've got it and you can use it. But
Right.
the this is from an overall tech view of the platform. So there are some widgets and SDKs that are available. So there's two that are available now. One is a start meeting widget. So you can embed a start meeting button in your own app. And we're doing something like this right now for one of our customers, which is Web Power Up by Smart Simple. It's a very cumbersome name, but it's like an ERP for granting agencies like charitable agencies within large companies. So for example, if Coca-Cola's got an arts grant, these guys would use Smart Simple, and what we're doing is we're adding real-time collaborative function to that application. The schedule widget is exactly what it sounds like. And if you've got a CallBridge account, I imagine you do, you've seen it, where you can like add time zones, and you can correlate between different time zones and so on. So you can do that kind of stuff. And then additional widgets can be requested for development, and the APIs that are available are these three things. So you can create, edit, and delete accounts. You can pull up details about the room. You can display update settings. You can display the schedule of what's coming up, and of course you can search for content.
All right, now do you have that on one of these slides?
What?
Those three elements.
Yeah, they're right here. I'm showing it to you right now. Can you not see it?
No, I cannot see it. I still see your original page.
Yeah,
oh, you do?
Jason. It didn't change.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It didn't change.
No.
I'm like going through like a slide deck, and I'm like, what okay, hang on. Let me try it again.
I'm writing down your slide deck as we go.
Okay.
It's good. It's a good exercise.
There. Okay.
There
So.
All right. Now we're talking. Okay.
Sorry, I switched over without.
No worries.
I switched PowerPoint without switching the slide.
No
okay, and then here's the APIs that are available, and then here's the guts. So you'd basically go from this, like a discussion with a customer. It's like, well, we want something a little bit more in depth than that. Okay, well, here's basically what we're talking about. So, if you wanted to mix customer add-ons with an analytics and finance API, it would go through these different routes. Okay. And some existing integrations that are there are these.
Are which?
So Facebook, Outlook, Slack, Acton, Clipfolio, Stripe, Cisco.
Okay, we don't see any of those on the slide, but that's all right.
Oh, what the hell's going on?
Our slides aren't changing.
Yeah, they're not changing. I can see you
really
moving
weird.
around though.
I can see your mouse moving around, but I can't see the slides changing.
It's very interesting. Let me just see.
It's the beauty of technology, man.
Yeah, no kidding.
It only happens during demos. It doesn't happen in real life.
You can upload it.
Well,
we're gonna go over all this again anyway. But let's keep going with the 500,000 mile an hour, 500,000 foot view, because I'm getting it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, there it is. Facebook,
okay.
Microsoft, Slack, love Slack. Okay, Acton, Cisco, yay. Okay, that's huge. That's
yeah. Well, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why Cisco is really important. So that Cisco bought BroadSoft 2 years ago, and they are slowly demising a lot of the things that made BroadSoft appealing to the telecoms community. One of the things is that My Room, which was a very simple real-time collaboration tool, failed to get updated by the acquisition. So Cisco had this opportunity to take WebEx and bring the best of it into My Room and vice versa. The reason people used My Room was because it was a white label product. So they'd have the BroadSoft UC1 engine, which is like a presence engine. And if they wanted to have a meeting, if somebody wanted to have a meeting, they would flip into My Room, which would be called something else. So if it was, pragmatic, would be called pragmatic meeting, or my pragmatism, or something like that.
Right.
So what Cisco's done with the acquisition is instead try to push telecoms off of My Room and onto WebEx. And unfortunately, that's not what the telecoms want to do. They want to have their own private labeled stuff. They don't want to suddenly be competing with Cisco, because you can just get WebEx off the website. Why would you? Why would I buy it from Singtel if I could just go to the WebEx website and download a license?
Right.
Anyway, so that's why CallBridge is vital. It's like the next generation of My Room. So there were some missing features from My Room, right? That frustrated people. We have a contemporaneous with the current advanced version of real-time collaboration product that can replace My Room. So they can upgrade all of their customers and get something that just slots right in and allows them to compete with Zoom, and has the kind of My Room white label appeal that WebEx doesn't have.
Okay.
So I think that's huge.
Well, Cisco is everywhere, and if anytime we get a chance where we can integrate and work with Cisco, the Cisco endpoint, without the client having to do major brain surgery, it's it's going to make life way easier. I actually haven't seen anybody else that has this yet, although with some of my clients, I've jumped up and down and said, you got to do it. And it's number 99 on their, their software development lists. So, but they run into it all day long and they get shut down. Their salespeople get shut down all day long and they come back and, well, they've got Cisco. We can't do anything. Okay.
Yep.
So,
okay. So now I want to talk about the sorts of things that we've been doing a good job of winning. So the most recent win we've had is this Nigerian company, and that is a complete white label. So they use our tool. They use it in the way that we've just described. I'll just flip over to show you the.
Yeah, we're not seeing your
website.
screen change again. So.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to hang on. I'm going to take it off and then I'm going to put it back on. Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's the I know exactly what the problem is, so I'm just going to share my whole screen here. Actually, I think I've discovered a bug. I can't share now. It's interesting.
That's good.
All right. Yeah, no kidding. All right, so I'll just talk. The Nigerian guys, Cedarview, they use it exactly as it's designed to be used. They use it for as a white label UCaaS service. So it's a unified communication as a service offering. They're selling it alongside other stuff. So like like a mobile plan or like a business plan or wireline into your office building, and they'd sell web meeting and teleconferencing alongside it. So it's being used precisely as we want it to be used. They also have termination. So as part of a reciprocal deal, we're also getting Nigerian numbers that we can resell through our free conference platform, which is quite nice for us. So Cara, we're getting a revenue share on one of them, aren't we?
Yeah, on the national, on the local one.
So that, Michael, is a very unusual but fun opportunity for us because, it gives us a competitive advantage because we've got a Nigerian number now, and Nigeria is a high growth area in the world. we get a good customer that there's reciprocal benefit going back and forth. So that's positive. So that was our most recent win, and they're using exactly as we want them to use it. Smart Simple was probably our second most recent win, and that one's a little bit more weird because we're integrating free conference there. So we're offering a free product to them because they're servicing the charitable market, and we're putting in place an API driven start meeting button, schedule meeting button, start meeting button into their ERP platform, and we're branding it. That's the deal. So rather than them paying us, we're seeing it as an advertising opportunity.
Okay.
So that's an interesting deal for us. So that's
Where
a
are they
fun one
located?
for us. Toronto.
Toronto. Okay.
Yeah, but their customer base is like us, mostly in the United States.
Okay. I'm just kind of looking them up as we go here.
Yeah. So for sure. Some hot opportunities for us, and these are things that we're in pursuit right now on, and are in various stages of closing. I've mentioned to you, one is NetSapiens. So NetSapiens has been a difficult path because they weren't quite sure what value we could provide until we met them face to face and talked about it, and that changed everything somehow. So NetSapiens wants to use it the way it's designed, and see what else we can do. So my gut tells me that we're probably going to do a deal where they'll white label it, they'll resell it, and then we'll find other ways to integrate with other pieces of their product, and there'll probably be some other benefits as well. The second one is Univoip, which came to us because they were looking for precisely what it is that we're looking for, or that we provide. So white label, brandable, downloadable apps, integratable apps, implantable network, no pierce the veil, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So they gave us a list. Let me just see, because they gave us a list of issues that we need to work through. I'm just going to kind of dig through here. Yeah, it's Univoip.
And these are all UCCs. Okay.
All right. So, okay. So they have some. They want dual participant control. We don't have that. That's more like a remote desktop control. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Stop in front of conference.
And are we offering to develop that, or are we just saying we'll have it?
Well, I think so. This is where the fun comes in for a company like ours. I mean, obviously, yeah, we would develop it if it's something that's preventing the sale from happening and other customers would want it. Yeah, I mean, it's right. An opportunity to build something that's a feature enhancement. So that one we're in a hot pursuit for. Singtel is one that's really important for us right now. We're talking with the right people, and we've got a really good, aggressive champion for us within Singtel. And that one would be most like our reseller PCCW. So PCCW is a Hong Kong-based company that owns Hong Kong Telecom, does tons of work in Africa and Far East Asia. They white label it as Entwine conferencing. They call it something completely different, and they have a reseller network. Their goal is to get more resellers, and that's what we would want to do with Singtel as well. And then we're close to closing CCI, which is a new telecom in India. Right, Cara?
Yep. Final iteration of contract sent.
So hopefully that one will close in the next couple of weeks. Sure. And then we got a new lead coming out of ITW last week, which is Telefonica. So we're in pursuit against Telefonica right now. We've got the right contact, but it's farther up the chain. I think we're still qualifying that one.
Okay. Now, was
All
it
right.
Telefonica that put the money into TalkBox?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
All right.
Now,
So
I still think that there's opportunity. Like, just because somebody, has invested in TalkBox, it doesn't mean necessarily that they're satisfied with everything that's coming out of there. And I think also, for us, that could also open up opportunity for us to integrate with TalkBox and find some other opportunities. Who knows? Maybe Telefonica would want to buy us down the road. Like there's, we're a venture-backed, company that has to look at all opportunities.
Right. So I like the Telefonica play. I actually did business with TalkBox when we were at Free Conference.
Mm-hmm.
So we were their audio
Mm-hmm.
against their video. They had the video,
Cool.
they didn't have the audio. Then they ran out of money completely.
Right.
And they called up and said, we're closing, we don't have any money at all. And then 60 days later, Telefonica stepped in and took over.
Well, they bought them. I think they acquired them.
Yeah, they did. 34 million, I think it was.
Yeah, that's a good deal.
So that was a great deal for them. They were literally on their knees.
Yeah.
So the last time I ran into them, interestingly, was I took video into Salesforce with Larry
Okay.
Robinson, the senior vice president, and we presented. I was remote. The team went in, presented, went really well. And one of the engineers turned around and said, well, we have a little problem. And Larry didn't know what the problem was. And he said, yeah, we're working with TalkBox, and they've sent three guys over that are literally camping out in cubicles downstairs, and they're working with our engineers 7 days a week, and they're 3/4 of the way having this entire thing done. Now, what Salesforce wanted to do was put it into the main body of their product. So I don't know if you've ever used this torturous thing, but if you're a salesperson, you're supposed to put all of your leads in every conversation. And what happens is your salespeople end up doing Salesforce all the time and not selling. So, but it's also very confusing to use. So there's a camera, you click on the camera, lo and behold, a lady pops up and says, hi, I see you're lost. Let me take over for you. What are we trying to do? Okay, let me show you how to do that. Here's where
Holy
you get
Christ.
the tutorial.
That's kind of cool, but it's also kind of creepy.
Well, it's up to you. I mean, you're the one that clicks on it and asks for the help. But then they wanted to move it down to the next level and actually put it into the retail experience. So in a retail store, there's a number of different applications that they had. So they would take all the Macy's chains and all these retailers and be able to run it down through Salesforce. So the salesperson on the sales floor couldn't find something, and they'd be able to look it up, and it would run right up through Salesforce, and Salesforce would supply the video and the inventory information and yada, yada, yada. And that would all attach to Zebra and SAP. So they have complete inventory back end. So it was really an interesting play. TalkBox ended up getting the business originally, and just as they finished up, Salesforce threw them out the back door and reinvented it and did it themselves. So I hear it's not working. And so there may still be an opportunity to walk in there and say, guys, want to take a look?
Yeah, I mean, there's we went through a soul searching about 4 or 5 years ago whether to become like a Twilio or a Plivo and a TalkBox, or become more like a Counterpath, Mitel type offering. And I think we aired more on this side than on that side. So, but that doesn't mean that we can't do a lot of the things that Twilio and TalkBox can do. It just means that our focus is on getting kind of the reseller stuff that is, I would say, a lighter lift than the Twilio type stuff. But I only it's a confusing discussion to get into, but I think your experience would allow you to see the nuances in that debate. So go out there and see what you can dig up. you've probably got a sense now that we could do either or,
Right.
and it's from a technical perspective, there's little difference really, but the way it's currently bundled is more as a turnkey solution than as a toolbox.
So if I may, let's talk about, and I still need to step back and get a better view technically of what we literally have in works today, what's on the drawing board, and what our timelines are. But putting all that aside, let's talk about low-hanging fruit for a minute. So in thinking about this, the one thing that I'm a little bit excited about is, after spending 3.5 years with video, and as I mentioned, taking, I basically took orders. It was kind of like
Right.
the McDonald's drive-through, right? So the CEO calls me up and says, "Get us in Salesforce." Somebody else calls up, "Get us in Motorola, get us in Xerox, get us in IBM, get us in Amazon." And so I do. And they drop the ball time and time again. And now, of course, they've been bought by InHouse, and we don't know what they're going to do with that. You've already started that discussion, and we should pursue that heavily, right? But there's this huge void that, I mean, there's a large sucking sound. Everybody that's been using video and enjoying it for the last 3.5 years now is wondering if they even have a product to use. They don't know what InHouse is going to do with them. None of us do. I say we pick some of those prime customers where we've been, where they know us, where we have experience with them. We know exactly what the use case is.
So you're saying pick off some of the video customers.
Darn right. InHouse is not going to have a team of people that A, know who they are, and B, know much about video at all. In talking to their VP of business development, he didn't even know that they had bought video. So I really think what happened here was, I know that the CEO had put in $10 million, and he was able to call the 10 million back out with an additional 10 anytime he wanted. So he pulled the cork, and all the water came out. He took his extra 10 million and went home. Michael Pasella Fox, I think his name was. And InHouse bought them, but I think they bought them because it was only $40 million. And they're not even quite sure what they want to do with them yet, but it was fully developed at only $40 million. Now, with all that said, video did not have all of the attributes that we have.
Right.
They didn't have this collaboration stuff. It didn't work. They called it Video IO, the cloud, and it didn't work. There's a very talented guy over there. You might want to write his name down. It's Omni, A-M-I, Brasley, B-R-A-Z-E-L-Y. And he is their top #1 sales engineer. So not only does he know all the accounts and the people in all the accounts, but he's a brilliant guy when it comes to video conferencing and collaboration and audio conferencing and everything else. He's out of San Francisco. He's looking. He's actively looking. And I think he's back. He's on vacation this week, but back next week. He is an awesome resource. So if I had to pick a dream team, he'd be on it. There's a couple others over there that are interesting. I kind of have to ferret through it and see if there's anybody else, and he'll know. They only kept like 5 or 6 people at InHouse, and the 5 or 6 people don't know if they have a job next week.
Right.
So they're all very unhappy. So that's that piece. Let's take a look at the video customer list, which I have most of, and try to pick off a few of those and go in and say, hey folks, you want a simple switch out, but with a lot more features. And it could very well be that the quality of this video is excellent. So the other one is Agora. I think I mentioned them to you, Agora. So Agora is a U.S. company, but the CEO is the guy who developed the video conferencing for WebEx. And
right. Yeah, you did mention this guy to me.
His name is Tony Zhao. I had a talk with Todd Anderson, who came from video. I actually got him the job at Agora. They still don't have all their assets, and they have done zero in the enterprise. And he was talking to me about working with them on enterprise. And They didn't.
Sorry, at Agora, you mean?
Agora. Now,
Right.
what makes Agora interesting is they have their own CDN. They have a global CDN that's larger than Akamai, and it's about 200 POPs or nodes around the world, and it's void. There's no traffic on it.
What? That's very strange.
Well, it's Tony Zhao's fault. When Zhao flew down here to Tampa to meet with me, I said, Tony, we've got video, we've got WebEx, we've got all these different companies doing video. Why do you want to build a new video company? Because
Right.
I can make it the best in the world. I'm a genius at video.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
I get back there, I open the hood, and I find at that time 109 nodes all around the globe with no
And zero
traffic.
Yeah.
So the company.
Yeah, we have 9.
Yeah, I know. I realize we have a small amount, but we could jump on theirs at probably a quarter of the price or less than what we would get from Akamai, and we'd have 200 nodes instantly, and we could white label it. And that's just such a huge game changer. When we start talking about TalkShoe, that adds to that as well. I mean,
no, that's
there's some really powerful stuff there.
Yeah,
and let's
set that one to the side. I mean, like right now, what I'd like to explore that one. My first priority is, like I like what you're saying about picking off the video customers. Like, what can we do to get some opportunities so that some money comes in?
Sure.
Yep.
Now there's a couple other areas with video. We did very well with. There's a company out of Atlanta that does courtroom. What do you call it? Transcript.
Yeah.
And they have they're the largest provider of transcribers to courts around the country. Okay. Now, with that kind of transcription, you can do the transcription, and it's not necessary that it be instantly provided. In fact, it's expected that it takes a couple of weeks before you get the transcription. So it'd be interesting to talk to them and find out if we don't have a fit to augment what they're doing, and to handle the transcription where we can and when we can with the tool we have. I don't know if it's capable of it or not, or somehow to work with them and provide them with a complete solution. So that's another one. Now, do you have your browser there? Take a look at Star to Star Communications. Are you familiar with them at all?
No.
Okay, so this is one of the largest UCC players. And amazingly, they are headquartered out of Sarasota, Florida.
That's cute.
The CEO, his name is Norm Worthington.
And great name.
Norm and I have known each other about 20 years. He's a hardball player, by the way.
Like literally a hardball player, or he's a tough?
No, he's just a tough guy to wrestle with. His keyword is no, and it's always no, 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 until suddenly you get to the yes, and then he gives it up. My take is that Norm is wanting to get out. He built it from scratch. They're at least 10 years old, if not older. They're one of the largest UCCs. They specialize in things like retail. He has all the dollar stores in the United States. Now they have a pizza box device that they put in, and they have a cloud. And good marketing. They say, well, if something happens to the cloud, you've got the box. If you have a hurricane and the box goes down, you have the cloud. So you have total redundancy at all times. And it's a total UCC package, but I don't know that they have all the attributes that we have. So,
and is it this is person to person calling as well? Like it's not just conferencing. It's mobile. It's wireline. It's everything. It's basically it's a CLEC. Is that what this is? Right. Okay.
Yeah. Kind of.
Sort of.
Kind of, sort of.
I'm looking at it right now, and I'm just trying to figure, because it's one of those. There's a lot of these kind of companies in telecoms where you can't quite tell what the hell it is.
Right.
They seem to offer everything.
Right. And when we see his offer everything, I'd like to see just how good it is. But it
Uh-huh.
could be it's very possible that what we have in a number of instances is just better than what they have.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
we can take it to them and say, guys, why aren't we doing a partnership and you get our assets and we split the revenue,
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera.
Right. Yeah.
So
No, I like that.
and they're right here and they're local. So Cara
Yeah.
and I can service them all day long
Yep.
and keep them happy. That also might be one where at the end of the day, they want to buy us or we want to buy
Right.
them. Although I
Sure.
had a we want to buy them conversation with him for somebody else about 2 weeks ago. And
Yeah.
he said, well, Ring Central tried to buy us and 8x8 tried to buy us. And he said, between the two, Ring Central was at about 500 million and I'm sorry, 8x8 was at about 500 million. Ring Central was 1.4 billion.
Jesus
He,
Christ.
he said, so give me something in the $700-800 million range, and I
What
might want to
the?
talk to you.
That's
And
insane.
the client that I was working with at the time said, no, we can't even talk to him.
Yeah, Michael,
So,
just so you understand, I mean, we're sub 10 million in revenue. Like
oh,
this is not
no,
a big,
I,
this is not a
I
big
understand
company.
that. But,
Yeah.
I'm more interested in going
Although
to
I'm
them
sure,
and saying,
Cara and I give off the impression of being from a multi-billion-dollar company.
well, you have that coolness about you. So it's
Yeah.
But I'd be more interested in understanding their product suite and are there holes in it that we could fill
Sure.
and do a revenue split.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
or
that
however
could be
that
cool.
works. So,
Can
UCC
I?
players are all over the place.
Yeah. Let's just take a quick bio break and coffee refill break.
Sure.
Is that cool?
Sure. Yeah, very cool.
I'm just gonna quickly visit the loo and refill my coffee as well. Okay.
Sounds
I'll
good.
be right back.
All right. Hey, young lady.
Hello.
It's so
How you
good to be
doing?
with you. I'm doing good.
Yeah.
I'm doing
You're
good.
doing real stuff. So
Yeah.
that's
Well,
amazing.
we haven't even touched on